Our scripture today comes from Psalm 91, verses 1 through 6, and then 14 through 16. It can be found on the front of your bulletin if you'd like to follow along, or I'll give you just a minute to find it in your Bibles. Let us be attentive to a word from God. You who live in the shelter of the Most High, who abide in the shadow of the Almighty, will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler, from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a buckler. You will not fear the terror of the night, or the arrow that flies by the day, or the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, or the destruction that wastes at noonday. And 14 through 16. Those who love me I will deliver. I will protect those who know my name. When they call to me, I will answer them. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue them and honor them. With long life I will satisfy them and show them my salvation. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
I was part of a conversation with some colleagues and friends who were talking about questions that they had asked or had been asked by the PNCs of their churches that they were part of, or other committees while seeking a call. Some were pretty normal, pretty standard questions. What are you reading professionally or for fun? What do you believe about this or that? Where do you stand? One of them was, have you ever been arrested? The pastor friend of mine turned around and said, I've never been caught. Have you been arrested? He said 3 of the 6 people on the PNC said yes. But then there was one that struck me. My pastor friend that I graduated seminary with had asked the PNC this question. Where in your life have you experienced God? She said it was just crickets. It was just this long pause and silence. Finally, one person said, I've never been asked that question. Never have I been asked the question, where have I experienced God? This is a question we should be asking. We should be asking of ourselves. We should be asking of one another, especially in a faith community, especially with this group of people, with our friends who are in this body. Where are you experiencing God? How are you seeing God work and move in your life? How are you experiencing the work, the glory, the goodness of God? Where are you seeing that? How are you being involved in it? We should be asking that of one another. You all should be asking it of me. You should be coming to my office and be like, Pastor Dan, how have you seen God lately? I'll tell you right now how I'm seeing God. Bethany is up there doing sound today. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 7th grade and below kids up there with her. She says she's training them, which I hope is true, because we're going to need the help. Did she ask them to go up there? Not even a chance. They just wanted to hang out with her and be part of it. And they want to be involved. That's how I'm seeing God. That's God's work. That's God working and moving. It's a wonderful thing. We should be asking each other, how is God working through you in your work, in your retirement, in your life, in your parenting? In what ways can we help one another experience more of God? Seriously, take a moment and think about it. Think about it while I put this projection screen up, because I'm poking my eyeball out. How have you experienced God lately? How have you experienced God in your life lately? If you can't think of it right now, I want you to go home and think about it. Sit with that question. Sit with it. Because faith is experiential. It's about an experience faith. It's not just... I think we get caught up in doctrine. We were talking about this today in the All-In Sunday School, which if you missed out, you missed out. You did. Not good people that were there think that you missed out. We talked about this, though, with communion. We get caught up in doctrine. How did Dale say it? We want to be religious-centered, not Christ-centered. We have to worry about being too religious-centered versus Christ-centered. Being Christ-centered in our lives is experiencing the mercy. When mercy finds us, when grace finds us. Are we being too doctrinal and not enough experiential? Trying to sit and hear and see and move with God. Paul Tillich says this. I know I'm going to quote a theologian after I said we're being too doctrinal. Everything said about faith in the previous chapters is derived from the experience of actual faith. Of faith as a living reality. Without a preceding experience of the ultimate, no faith in the ultimate can exist. Experience the ultimate. Faith is about experiencing God. The gist of our faith is the experience of God's work, God's grace through Jesus Christ in our lives. Our faith is about finding a way to experience that, to explore that and experience it more and more each day. Here's the thing, it doesn't need to be huge. Maybe we're all looking, maybe that's the problem. I know it's been a problem for me and is a constant problem. It's something I have to fight in my own faith life, is that I'm always looking for something big and grand, right? It's got to be monumentous. God's got to be like, I'm here. And you're like, hey, God, it's like I want to experience you. Or the neon signs, or but God doesn't work in monstrous ways. God works in subtleties. We talked about prayer, and we used Elijah on the mountain. And the rushing wind came. The tornado and the fire came. God was not in that. God was not in that. But then Elijah stepped outside of the cave, and in the sound of silence, there was God. Now, it can be monstrous. It can be massive. I mean, we have biblical stories about big moments of experience. Jesus appears to Paul in the clouds and says, why are you persecuting me? We have a transformation. But God really deals in subtlety. So how will we experience God? Is it in the simpleness of nature? Is it in the sunsets and the greens and the changing of leaves and the deep stillness of sitting by a lake? When it's calm and it's like glass, and you can see your own reflection, or you can take a picture and it looks like the trees are, growing on both sides. I'm not sure there's anything better. And the experience of that. I used to get grief because I love to deer hunt. But I like to do the hunting part too, but I think more than anything, I like to go sit in a tree and just be. I don't have to kill every deer I see. I can let them all pass and be like, oh, that was a good day. And someone's going, that was a big deer. And I'm going, it'll be fine. Where do we find God? Deep down in the simple, the great talks with one another, the moments that are invaluable where we are with one another, we're in community. Those moments that embolden our lives and others' lives, the moments of hope, of gratitude. Really, I think at the end of the day, the psalmists have something that we need to work towards getting. It's an awareness. Being aware of God. Being aware of God moving and working and living. It's about being open. It's about watching and listening for God in our lives. Jesus said all the time two things. For those who have eyes, let them see. For those who have ears, let them hear. I think it's about trusting. It's about seeing, hearing, and trusting. Verse 2 of our psalm today says, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. I will dwell and I will abide. I will trust. I will abide in the Lord. I will dwell in the Lord. We live in houses. We dwell in them. We abide in them. We trust that barring some crazy, catastrophe, we do live in Iowa where tornadoes happen. But barring that, we trust that even when the winds blow and the rains fall and the lightning fires up the entire sky like last night and our dog runs away to the bedroom to hide from the thunder, that we'll be safe. We trust that that is well built. In the same way, our faith, we trust that God is well built around us and is a place for rest and refuge, a place for hope and new life. Trust above all else is acknowledging God's presence in everything. Acknowledging God means knowing God wherever we are, whatever we are doing. It doesn't just mean an intellectual thing, but it's an act of perceiving God's character, God's will, God's goodness in each moment. We prioritize our faith in God, and incredible things will happen. We prioritize when we build our houses, right? You've got to build a good foundation. If you just build it on some quicksand or some sinking wet mud, it's going to collapse. When we build our lives on the trust in God, they are stronger, they are better. It's about standing firm. It's about standing firm in who God is, who God has made us to be, who God's calling us to be. It's about not letting every wind that blows drive us away from God. It's about trusting that God's present even in the hard moments. It's about standing firm in the questions, in the doubts, in the fights, in the struggles. Those aren't lack of faith. Doubts and questions aren't lack of faith. They aren't two different things. It's not faith and doubt, but it's doubt in the midst of faith. Doubt and questions in those times aren't walking away. They can be, but they should be times of growth. The Psalms are all about the questions. Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? Everybody thinks, oh, well, that psalmist lost faith. You can't call out to a God that you don't have faith in. My God, why have you forsaken me? And immediately after, the Lord is my shepherd. The Psalms are perfect places that we discover that questions aren't lack of faith, but they build the faith. We trust in our refuge and our strength that is God. And at the end of the day, what it's really about is in the hardest, most difficult, tragic moments, God doesn't leave us. It's simple to spill some Reese's on the floor and tell the kids that God's still with me when I look like a fool in front of the whole church. I did it on purpose. But God's with us in those moments. God is with us. God does not leave us alone. God does not let us suffer or struggle or hurt by ourselves. God is present. It says, God is present in the terror of the night and will protect us from the arrow that flies by the day. When they call, I'll be there. I will rescue. Eugene Peterson translates it this way. If you'll hold on to me for dear life, I'll get you out of trouble. I'll give you the best care. If you'll get to know and trust me and call me, I'll answer and be at your side in the hard times. God is present in the hardest of times. God is present. We'll see it because all of a sudden in those hard times, all of a sudden there's more people around you. Is that just happen chance? Is that accident? No, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Those people show up because they've been pushed towards us. They move towards us. We enfold one another because we know that God's not going to leave us alone, and so we can't leave each other alone. We were watching a show, and he doesn't talk about God, but I think it's a great example. We were watching a show the other day, and there's a gentleman on there from Kansas City named Wesley Hamilton. And he was a gangbanger. I don't know if you know much about Kansas City, but it's not. There's portions of Kansas City you don't want to go anywhere near. And he was a gangbanger. He made it to 21, and he celebrated because the average life expectancy of those gang members is 18, 17. He hit 21. He outlived a bunch of them. At 24, he was shot in the spine and paralyzed. Said it was the best thing that ever happened. Best thing that ever happened to him? Are you kidding me? You can't use your legs. Now he runs an organization called Disabled. Not really. Where he engages other people with disabilities in the world of fitness. I'm telling you, this guy is jacked. I mean, he climbs ropes with his hands still in his wheelchair. Does pull-ups in his wheelchair. He's a big dude. But he recognizes that even in the hardest times, there's something good happening. He never once mentioned that God was involved in that, but there's a sense that we can recognize when the tragedy strikes, there is still good to be found in it. Because God is present in it. God's not making it happen, but God's in it. God's working through it. God's moving in it. And it's even in those terrible, no good, very bad days, God is there. And sometimes we miss it, and sometimes we recognize that God is more there than we can even imagine. God, the psalmist calls us today to seek the experience, to seek God in all moments of life, holding fast in the good and the bad, abiding in the presence of the one who creates, saves, and sustains us and will never let us be through all of our life.